This is okay. Welcome. This is
Thanks, Bob.
Deputy Mayor with the City of Lacey. Welcome to our April 15th council meeting on this beautiful day. And the first thing we need to do, if please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Pledge allegiance
of the United
to the
States,
flag of the United States of America,
to
the
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
God,
God, indivisible,
Liberty and
with
justice.
liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
So I need a approval of the agenda and consent agenda.
Move to approve the agenda and consent agenda as posted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. So next up is public comment on items not on the agenda. I have first something I would like to read. Persons wishing to provide verbal public comment on items not on the agenda. Before opening up public comment, please know that the City Council cannot take public comment from anyone wishing to address the council regarding an active land use application. Land use applications subject to hearings examiner review will come before the council through the quasi-judicial process, and council must review the proposal based on the record established by the Lacey hearing examiner. The council must avoid ex parte communication and maintain a fair land use review process based on the official record. Please direct any comments on an active land use application to the Community and Economic Development Department. So with that, and by the way, I just wanted to let you know that the mayor, Mayor Ryder, hasn't been able to attend, so that's why I'm leading it. So let me pull up who's on here. So I am skipping those that are dealing with the any land use application. So first up would then be Jordan Hanna, and it's talking about Squatter's Trap House. Jordan, can you?
It does not look like Jordan is available on the Zoom at this point that I can tell.
Okay, so then after that is Deb Keys, and may state your name, and also please keep your comments to approximately 3 minutes.
I'm sorry, also I do not see Deb Keys at this point.
Okay, well, this is going quick. Next up, let's see, Courtney Fisher. Is Courtney with us?
Yes, she'll be joining momentarily.
Okay, keep your comments, state your name and keep your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Courtney, you need to unmute.
You're muted.
Sorry, this is my first time being on. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Courtney. I work at the Lacey Fred Meyer. I'm the primary lead here in our ClickList department. And I just really quickly wanted to bring up the hazard pay again. I know some cities are working on it, but I watch my staff go through a lot on a daily basis. Sometimes it's harassment, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's good people that come through, but we do a lot to keep the public safe and not have them come in the store. And it's just, I think, unfair that we got our hazard pay taken away. So it's just kind of what I wanted to bring up as their primary lead.
Thank you, Courtney, very much.
Thank you.
And let's see. I think that is all that's on, that's not a land use decision that needs to speak. Is there anyone else that is not on the agenda that is not land use? Seeing none, here's my proposal to the council. I suggest we take up the hazard fee pay at our next, for just discussion at our work session coming up. Is that agreeable to everyone? Okay. With that, we'll move on. And we don't. So next up, I would like to recommend appointment of Council Member Stedman to the Nisqually River Council. In fact, I make a motion to that effect. Is there any second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Michael, you are now on the Nisqually River Council. Next up
Thank
is,
you, Mayor and Council. Appreciate it.
okay. I think it'll be a fun council. The next up is amendment to the Regional Housing Council interlocal agreement, the city manager's report. Scott, I haven't missed anything yet, have I?
You're doing great.
Okay, okay.
So, Honorable Deputy Mayor and City Council, it seems like we've covered the Regional Housing Council and a local agreement for a while, but just for the benefit of the public and those that are watching, the Regional Housing Council really is a vision really of this council, and I'd say City of Tumwater, City of Yelm, Thurston County, and also City of Olympia, to figure out ways that we can work together on regional projects, can address issues such as social services, but also affordable housing. You may recall that we had already created this interlocal agreement that, in a sense, created this partnership that we had worked together. One area that was undefined, which was how we would spend dollars generated by Substitute House Bill 1406. And as you know, that is a diversion of state sales tax that comes directly to the city. We raise roughly about $90,000. The idea is that this dollar amount would be shared with the regional partnership, and the Regional Housing Council would actually identify projects for use of these funds. What is unique about this amendment before you is what it basically states is that the Regional Housing Council will identify those projects. Once those projects are identified, each legislative body would endorse that project before the Board of County Commissioners would actually finalize that project. So it provides an avenue of identifying projects, but also making sure that the legislative bodies of each partner is involved in what that project money is going to be spent for. So that's the main part of this amendment. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I know Councilmember Cox and also Councilmember Greenstein is part of the Regional Housing Council as your representatives. They may provide some additional comment.
Is there any questions to or comments? Carolyn or Lenny, do you want to add anything that you have for that? No?
Carolyn?
Carolyn?
I can make a brief statement. Part of the challenges with trying to deal with homelessness and affordable housing and all these related things is funding for it. And when each of our entities gets a small pot of funding, we can't do much with that. But by pooling our funding and agreeing on a shared vision about how that's going to go, I think the taxpayers get more bang for their money and the community is better served. So I'm really happy to see us going in this direction.
So with that, we do need a motion to authorize the city manager to sign the Regional Housing Council interlocal agreement.
So moved.
It's been moved. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carried. So let's move on to our standing general committee, Community Relations and Public Affairs.
That's myself. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. The Community Relations and Public Affairs Committee met on April 5th, two-item agenda. The first was policies, develop policy relating to correspondence on behalf of the Johnson family. The little background, Leslie Johnson, longtime resident of Lacey, proud member of the United States Army, Purple Heart recipient. He stormed the beaches of Normandy. He got a Purple Heart in that campaign of the theater. And long story short, the myself as well as some of the family members and people in the community felt that that we want to try to honor him and people like him that selflessly sacrificed during the the biggest conflict this world's ever seen against tyranny and evil. So long story short, we made a recommendation, the staff made a recommendation for us to draft a comprehensive naming policy before we move forward, just to keep it fair and so we know exactly what we're getting into when we start talking about naming rights and stuff like that in the community. So that's essentially what the whole committee met on with that agenda item. And then we also reviewed the Lacey's public arts policy. So staff briefed the committee on public art policy and provided considerations for a revised policy. Number one, with funding, currently public art is funded in part through revenue generated from annual 25-cent per capita set aside pursuant to Resolution 760. Additionally, funds are to be budgeted in accordance with Ordinance 1022, which states that 1/4 of 1% is set aside for public art for city projects visible and usable by the public over $500,000. We went into detail with objectives in selecting public art themes, locations, etc. And so it was just, these are all just considerations for us to have in possibly doing a revised policy. And that was the gist of our committee report and the two agendas.
So quick question, can I
Yep.
offer ideas to the committee at sometimes? I have all these ideas to do artwork types of things. So
Oh, yeah.
I hope it fits in with the policy.
We know you're big into poetry and the arts and my daughter with dance and theater and stuff like that. Plus it's good tourist attraction as well. So any input, not just from you, yourself, Madam Deputy Mayor, but the public in general is always welcome. We're always looking for ways to be better, do better, and provide better services to our citizens.
Thank you very much. So
You're
that
welcome.
ends our standing general committee that's up. So we're down to boards, commissions, and committee reports. Mayor Ryder isn't here, so I will skip his report out. Next up is myself, and so Lot Clean Water Alliance met yesterday, April 14th. We had both a work session and a business meeting. So first of all, we discussed refunding the 2011 bonds for $32,800,000 for the purpose of financing capital improvements. And they're now eligible for refunding. The board supported the idea of investigating the financial gain going through a bank to refinance. The other alternative would be sending out for a public RFP, but we thought we'd try this first to see if it would give us the most stable refund and security. So next up, our finance director disclosed there was a cybersecurity incident. It's getting more and more frequent, these kinds of things. In early March, Lot's email server was the victim of a cyber attack that leveraged a previously unknown vulnerability. And the then the staff discovered that Lot's server had been compromised several days prior to the vendor telling them. And the staff immediately isolated the server and worked to restore it from a backup taken before the compromise occurred. And even though this was really kind of nerve-wracking, and their staff's emails were shut down, which is kind of an inconvenience, they did find out that the attack did not extend beyond the email server, and no confidential or personal identifiable data was extracted from Lot's network. So staff feels confident the server is now okay. Also at the work session, the board had a presentation on permanent security improvements for fencing around the Bud Inlet treatment plant in Plaza. Remember that in 2017, staff was dealing with needles, garbage, personal belongings, fecal material, etc. And then also people coming on the premise in the middle of the night and putting both themselves and the plant in danger if there's any kind of spark and stuff. So they put temporary fencing around, which actually shut down the number of hours staff had to deal with that. However, they didn't put it in front or round by where the Hands-on Children's Museum area is. And there still was problems. The fencing, it was definitely temporary and not very sturdy, but still worked somewhat. But they decided, the staff that decided that maybe it needs to be permanent. Now, it looked better, less maintenance, and and they needed to put something in the front as well as over up by the East Bay Plaza and between the museum and the treatment plant. And so they hired R.W. Droll Landscapes architect to do a conceptual design, to do some really nice looking fencing. Well, this was great. And it's beautiful. The conceptual design is beautiful, but it's pretty pricey. Everyone's going to gasp. $720K to $800K was the conceptual plan for it. And we talked about going to that or going to something less and stuff, but what we found out that we do have money for this. It will take less maintenance, and it will cover the whole area. It'll be in the front where the more of the city people walking by and using the going in as clients and stuff will be able to get through. And so we decided to have them investigate, to go forward and find out do the design, and then see whether we want to go forward to actually do the construction. But so that's where we ended up. So the business meeting, we approved the mechanical improvements construction contract to Bidder Prospect Construction for $1,337,707.10. And this includes sales tax. And this replaces aging mechanical equipment that is reaching the end of useful life. And some of that equipment was part of the 1982 Bud Inlet treatment plant upgrade project, so it was quite old. We had an update on Lot's emissions inventory, and they contracted with Cascade Energy to assist in tracking energy use and to understand Lot's carbon footprint. And the data review was for 5 years, from 2015 to now, until 2020. And while we're doing really well on what we purchase as energy efficiency, one of the biggest emissions is purchased electricity throughout all those years. And then the other second highest thing is denitrification, which is the microbial facilitated process where nitrate is reduced and eventually produces nitrogen through various steps, and immediate gaseous nitrogen oxide products are emitted. So the block plans to use this inventory to track in-house progress and energy usage and emission reductions. And what the advantage of this is it saves on when they go out and try to get bids on different kinds of projects, and also grant applications. And it also saves ratepayers a whole lot of money by being as energy efficient as possible. And then Lott said they'll share this information with Thurston Regional Planning Council for tracking progress toward the goal set in the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. And then lastly, for Lott, is we had an update on Lott's wellness program, which they won the 2021 Wellness Award. And this earns a 2% discount on health insurance premiums for 2022, which value is estimated at $30,000 to $35,000. So that's beneficial to our ratepayers also. And lastly, then on ORCA, the Olympic Region Clean Air Agency, it also met April 14th. And we had meetings where we said that on our budget, and it's on target for the year. And Dr. Hadley presented with the wood stove reduction program and air qualities to see if the program is doing what it's supposed to do, which is reduce harmful air emissions. And then looking from data from 1999 through 2020, when the wood stove changeout program in Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater, which was 2011, and then in all of Thurston County in 2015, data shows a definite drop in number of unsafe or sensitive groups, or worse in air quality measurements. We also had a presentation on March 2021 air quality summary. And for all of March, for all of 31 days, the 7 monitoring sites, Lacey, Aberdeen, Chesapeake, Port Townsend, Shelton, and Raymond, were in the good range for air quality. And this was really great because since I've been on the board, never has it been all 31 days in the good range. So that's great. And then there will be only one site for measuring ozone this summer in Lacey, since Yelm will have construction in the area and the site has to be taken offline. And that's my update for my committees. So next up is Councilmember Cox.
Thank you. I have one meeting to report on, and that is Intercity Transit Authority, which met on April 7th. I don't know how many people are aware that Intercity Transit is transporting people to get COVID vaccines to the big sites. Other counties and transit systems around the country are working to define and figure out how they can provide equal access to people and provide them free transportation. And Intercity Transit figured that out back in 2020 when we went to the 5-year zero fare experiment. So it feels good to be ahead of the game on that. Staff is gearing up for the May Bicycle Commuter Challenge. So those of you who like to ride your bikes, this is a good one. And of course, cycling has taken on even more importance during the pandemic. So to adapt to the evolving circumstances of COVID, they're going to be making some a little bit of change in the program this year, but basically they're encouraging all Thurston County residents to get out on their bikes, whether they're going to work or just going out to have fun. Transit Authority voted to authorize the general manager to extend the lease for the walk and roll program space, which is on Washington Street in downtown Olympia, across from the Olympia Transit Center. And this is for a combined contract value of $130,800, and this will take it out through October 31st of 2022. The walk and roll program it's a safety program that teaches students how to be safe traveling to school, whether it's on their bicycle, on the bus, or walking. The program will be moving to the Pattison Street site, which is headquarters, once the new building that will house that aspect is complete. And speaking of the Pattison site, we had Representative Marilyn Strickland joined us on Monday for what's called a topping off ceremony for the new administration and operations building that's being built on site now. And topping off refers to literally placing the last beam on the building, and we all got to sign our names to it, and it's going to be displayed so that people get a sense of community around that. And the building hopefully will be open next year. And finally, I think I shared with you that they would be doing some service expansion on March 21st. And those service changes are going along pretty well so far. And along with the expanded service, some of the advanced reservation rides are being eliminated. And that was the system we were on during the, when they literally had to kind of shut down operations for a while and go to a reservations only system in order to control the populations on the buses, keep people spaced and that sort of thing. But they're starting to see increases in ridership, which is very, very encouraging. And staff is going to continue to monitor this, and as well as the governor's office restrictions and lifting of restrictions to make sure we're keeping people safe and getting as many people around town as we can on the bus. And that's my report.
You're muted, Deputy Mayor.
I hate that. So Councilmember Greenstein's up. Sorry.
Just one very short report. Thurston 911 met on the 7th of April. We had a pretty full agenda, but really it was mostly housekeeping type stuff. So just a couple of things to report on. One is we had a financial report and everything is going extremely well. Revenues are above budget and expenses are below, so all good there. And the IGA intergovernmental agreement review process is underway and will be coming before the city for review here shortly. And that is my report.
Thank you very much. Next up is Councilmember Miller.
Yeah, I got one quick report. Thurston County TRPC met on April 2nd. As you guys know, traffic is one of the main things that's happening right now and taking up a lot of that meeting space. But we did recap the census information, and Thurston County is up, way up in census response. In fact, Bucota's up 22%, Tenino's up 36%, Rainier's up 47, Yelm 57, Tumwater 67, Lacey 69. Well, I guess the percentage, is that just me or is that everybody getting the?
I think
Okay.
I think it's okay now.
Can you guys hear me now? Okay. And other than that, there are some studies being done for freight goods, services and mobility in our region, multimodal level of service in our region, and state route and interstate detour routes improvement study environmental justice, and social equity in planning implementation. And these are just a few of the unfunded needs that we'll be securing funding for, at least asking funding for through the legislature. And that is my report. Oh, I'm sorry. Thurston County Coalition Against Trafficking is having its 5K. And you can sign up for that at WTP, WashingtonTraffickingPrevention.org. And that is my report.
Thank you. So next up is Councilmember Stedman.
Deputy Mayor, the Councilmember Stedman had to leave, so he exited the meeting.
Okay, and I understand Councilmember Kunkel is not online either, is he?
That's correct.
Okay. So with that, we're at the end of our,
If I could take some liberty, I don't want to make this meeting too short. I could have reported out, as you know, resolution 1006 or 1067 actually allows the city manager to sign interlocal agreements or amendments under certain parameters. This month, the amendment to the interlocal agreement for the Deschutes water rights mitigation strategy, I signed that document. That's more commonly referred to as the Smith property. This was property the city bought in conjunction with the city of Olympia and Yelm to deal with water rights mitigation. And as you know, back in 2017, there was a lot of detail about the mitigation and ongoing maintenance that we had to perform to meet our mitigation requirements under the Department of Ecology for water rights. There was language in there that sort of made it appear that by 2020, everything had to be done. But as you know, we'll be having that property really in perpetuity as long as we have those water rights. So basically that amendment recognized that this is an ongoing project to maintain this property that we refer to as the Smith property. So just want to report that out.
thank you. So we're at the end of our agenda. Does anybody have anything else they would like to add? Seeing none. Okay.
I have
Councilmember Cox.
brief thing. Looping back to the deputy mayor's request that we have a work session on the grocery workers request that we consider hazard pay. I'd like to invite a little bit broader discussion so that, I mean, certainly grocery workers, but that we look at workers in general who are essential workers, perhaps defining a income level, like, 60, 70% of the AMI, people who are already kind of, don't have much of a safety net under them anyway, who are essential workers, so that we take it, we're not just focusing on one group. And perhaps look at other ways that our city can help people through these crises, whether it be through a guaranteed minimum wage or other things. So just to explore ideas about ways we might be helpful.
Councilmember Greenstein. You're muted.
Sorry about that. I'm certainly open to having the discussion, but I'm just not sure that that falls within the realm of what we should be as a city council even looking at. I really just don't see how that fits into the role of city council.
So this is why we'll have just a general discussion about it, because it's been brought up a number of times. So we probably need to kind of at least discuss it, not here on council, but in a work session where we can see where we're going with it. Okay.
So Deputy Mayor and Council, we'll put that on the April 22nd work session. And with 30 minutes, 15 minutes, what's your pleasure in terms of time to discuss this issue?
Probably 30 minutes, because I think there will be a lot of different ideas one way or the other, and it probably needs more than, I think 15 minutes might be difficult. I think we'll end up spilling over is what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
might as well go.
I would agree. Allow 30 because 15 will not cover it.
Yeah.
Thank
So with that, it is 4:35. And so I'm going to adjourn this meeting, and I don't have a rod or anything to tap on, but keep it classy, Lacey. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye.
Thank you.